Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Million Dollar Media. With me today we have...
It's me, Emily. Woohoo! We're going to talk about the Punisher.
We're going to be talking about the Jon Bernthal version. We know there's been more Punishers than there have been Daredevils, but we're just talking about the Jon Bernthal one because that's the most relevant one. And there's not a lot of videos about this guy on YouTube. Like about this version of the
That's
Punisher.
true.
Like no one talks about that original Netflix show. Like no one.
That's true.
Like,
Wasn't very popular.
It was kind of interesting going back and watching it. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the Jon Bernthal run of the Punisher. We won't really talk about his stuff in Daredevil, maybe a little bit, but like I think, we'll talk about it just for this bit. I think the introduction to him in Daredevil season 2 was perfect.
Yeah, it was great. And I think they set him up as a really strong incarnation of that character and like a very nuanced one, which I really like.
And it felt like the Punisher comic. Like, he's tactical. He's still rage-filled because that's the point of the character. But he definitely felt a little more like a comic book killer in that he's just able to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
The ridiculousness of it, of a one-man army, you could buy it more in a comic book world. And I think he portrayed it so well that you're like, I could just believe he knows how to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I loved his dynamic with Daredevil, and I like the scene in the graveyard in that second season is just beautiful. Apparently, the tear that goes down Matt's face is not a tear, it's sweat, but they kept it in because it's like, fuck, man, this guy's such a good actor. But Jon Bernthal to this day says, like, that asshole tried to upstage me. And yeah, I thought the second season of Daredevil was a great way to start a series of Punisher. And then it's the first season of the Punisher, which... yeah, it's not great. It's interesting. I feel like Jon Bernthal has a really different interpretation of the Punisher than what most people believe the Punisher to be.
Yeah. I have a good example of this.
Go on.
So there's a bit, I believe it's in one of the Garth Ennis Punisher books. It's certainly in one of the like from the Max era of Marvel.
Yeah.
But I believe it was an Ennis book. It might not be.
It probably was.
It begins with Punisher walking into a family's home.
Oh, yeah.
Two parents who are like abusers or criminals of some sort, kills them both violently in front of the children, and then makes a remark in his speech bubble that he probably is going to have to visit these kids again in 20 years because of what he just did to them. That last bit, that thought bubble, that way that Frank processes the world, that is what I feel like is absent from the way that Bernthal has interpreted the Punisher.
Yeah.
It feels like he's all the edge and violence without any of the macabre or disturbing stuff that I think characterizes the version of the Punisher that his is clearly based on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You're 100% right. The Punisher comic book character, war is always on his mind. He is on a never-ending mission. He's kind of like Batman in that way, in that like crime will always happen, and he's just gonna always be doing this because he can't die, or like for any vague reason, the war never ends.
Right.
And I think the war never ends part of the Punisher was more interesting to Jon Bernthal and the writers of the original Punisher show than any other things we talked about. Like they wanted to go more in on the PTSD of the war never ends.
Yeah.
And I think on paper, that's a really interesting way to take the Punisher.
Yeah. And certainly a way that the Punisher has been done in the comics before. So there's a precedent for it.
Yeah. And I think you can do that type of story with this character because, hey, it's live action. We're taking these a bit more serious. And we've had multiple interpretations of the Punisher. Like, if you want, like, true comic book Punisher, Punisher Warzone is the best movie for you. That movie is pure comic book Punisher.
100%.
And it's really fun. It's a fun movie. It's ridiculous, but it's a fun fucking movie. This is not a fun show. This show, you have to be in a very, very particular mood to watch. Like,
for sure.
At least the first season. I'll get more into the second season in a bit. But the first season is like a heavy, heavy PTSD veteran drama about a guy who lost his family and is just trying to find his way back in the world. And he finds more people who were involved in the death of his family and just goes on a revenge mission. It's a very slow revenge mission, but still a revenge mission.
Right.
But I do think the first season does want to show some of the realities that are for our veterans, in that they don't get the help. Like, once they come back, they are just left to defend on their own, and they, with all this baggage that they carry. And I think one of the beauties of that first season is that they go into that and show like how different people of service cope with that trauma. Some find their way back in the world, some do crimes, some do horrible things. And I like that kind of awareness to veterans in general. I appreciate that. Like, as much as I am a very, like, I don't believe in, like, the wars that we are fighting, I have all the respect from people in military and Navy and Army in the service. I have nothing but respect. But you have to be a very different type of person to go out and do this kind of stuff. I have family members in the Navy, and I have a friend right now in the military. So I have nothing but respect for those people. And I like that the show goes into these things of when they come back home.
So I haven't watched much of the show, but I think it's an interesting element to focus on, though I have mixed feelings on it.
Yeah.
Warning, this is not going to be a very fun tangent, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to be a little bit serious here. There is a history, and once again, I'm going to point to specifically Garth Ennis, who has been a really definitive voice in the way that Punisher has been shaped in like his modern incarnation.
Yeah.
And to Ennis's credit, a lot of the way that Frank and his veteran status and the way that he views the world is interpreted is not the way that the show goes about it. And I think there is something to be said about losing some of the point that original story was trying to make. So again, I want to preface this by saying that I too have very strong feelings about the U.S. military, and I also believe that veterans should be taken care of, right? Like,
oh yeah,
if you fight for your government, regardless, your government has an obligation to take care of you. This has obviously not been what's happened, and that's a serious social issue that I do think is worth addressing.
Oh, definitely.
But the way the Punisher is historically characterized is not that. I don't know if you've read Garth Ennis's Bourne Punisher comics.
Not much.
So Bourne was the first line that he did for Punisher Max, and it was supposed to be a definitive retelling of the Punisher's backstory to be like canon. And the way that they did that was he told it through the perspective of a soldier who was in the platoon in Vietnam that Frank commanded. And so rather than getting an internal view of Frank's life, we get it through the perspective of a scared soldier who's under his command. And what he notes and observes about Frank throughout this story is that Frank, like, loves it, right? Like, the war is kind of in his veins.
Yeah.
And in fact, we start to see this character become more concerned over Frank's behavior as the story goes on, and shows that war kind of turned him into this monster. But he is like,
it's always been,
you know, like, yeah, exactly. Well, not even that it's always been in him, but at the end of the day, that this is not some like hell has come to him. This is the thing of like, the reason that he is traumatized and that he is damaged is because of his own actions, which he took voluntarily.
Yeah.
A lot of the way that Ennis's Punisher is set up is to show that war awakened something in him. And now he has to live with being that forever. And the way that he chooses to do that is by funneling it into a cause that he looks at as productive.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't portray the Punisher as a social victim in that sense.
Yeah.
He's very much meant to represent the idea of someone for whom the military was an outlet for violence, but at the end of the day, what underscores the character is that first and foremost. And I think there is something to be said for that as being a sort of direct criticism of the modus of operation of the U.S. military and of the mindset that the American military operates with. And I think the choice to reinterpret the Punisher to talk about the social issues of veterans massively misses the point of that character, and in a lot of ways conflates the experiences of the Punisher with the experience of U.S. veterans who were not all unilaterally like that, which is something that I can't get behind and comes off as a clumsy, forced creative decision born out of a desire to crowbar in talk about this social issue and ignore the parts of the character that were more ideologically inclined against the military.
Yeah.
Given how much the Bernthal Punisher loves using the military aesthetic and how tied in that is to the way that that whole character is on.
Yeah, you're right. And I will say, seeing as someone who did watch the show, they do make a difference in what Frank is doing to cope, quote unquote cope, versus what other veterans are doing. And
yes,
even like,
but you take my point.
Oh, 100%. But when you do say, hey, we're going to talk about PTSD and what happens to veterans using the Punisher, it's like, okay, like, but not all veterans just come back and this is like their story. And I did a lot of research regarding the Punisher because I knew we were going to talk about this stuff because it's just a very political character now. The Punisher logo has become a hate symbol amongst various different hate groups.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of a hate group, they probably have a Punisher logo for it.
Yeah. Which is crazy because, again, like, look, I'm not going to be the first one in line to claim that Garth Ennis is like a genius of writing. I have my issues with him. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I don't think that any of his Punisher material was intended for you to think that the Punisher was a cool guy that you should act like. Mm-hmm. He is so clearly meant to be like the most miserable, insufferable person in the world. And that's like at the core of that story. It baffles me that people just miss that for the aesthetic of cool guy who kills people. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting because the character of the Punisher has been around for so long. He was in the era of like the machismo, post-Vietnam War action hero. Like the Rambo-style action hero. Like that is what the Punisher is. Rambo without being Rambo. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Family was killed instead of like him just being treated like shit when he gets home. And that's kind of the idea. And the Punisher was just like, you always had two guns, double fisting them. Just, it was like that kind of action hero. Whereas like when Garth Ennis took him, was like, hey, let's actually go into this and the American myth idea of it. And then when you get to the Jon Bernthal version, it's like, let's go into like what, like the PTSD side and all this. But so the Punisher himself is like Batman in some ways in that you can take him in any direction you want. And I think that's what's interesting about the character. He is a very malleable character. And like, do you want to get ridiculous with it? Get ridiculous with it. Do you want to get serious with it? Get serious with it. And I feel like the first season is very much like, let's get serious with this. And you have to be in a very particular mood for that. I'm going to be real. It took a long time for me to finish that first season because I was like, I'm just not right in the head for this right now.
Yeah.
And it's a very slow-paced season. And the villains are kind of generic. I think the best thing about that first season is the dynamic between him and Micro. And Micro being this guy who has a family that he cannot be attached to right now. And the whole point is Frank is trying to help him get back to his family. And I think that's an interesting dynamic that they have. But that's kind of it. And and the funny thing is, it's Eben Moss-Backrack who is the Thing.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just really funny now. I don't think they'll
that is funny.
ever bring Micro back in anything. He didn't die. Like Micro is still out there. He would never do anything like what he did to get himself in a situation in the first season. There's a character named Madani who's a CIA agent. A Fed. I think her character is really interesting. I like she's very much a person on the inside trying to get to the bottom of this situation. Because the whole point of the first season is Micro got a hold of a video in which a bunch of Marines black masked it and killed a Middle Eastern CIA agent because the CIA agent was uncovering what they were doing. And someone was recording that video in secret. And Micro tries to send it to the feds. They go after him. And he has to go on the run and go into hiding. So he gets the Punisher involved. So it's this weird, like, the truth must come out, the video must come out, let's try to break down the government kind of thing. It's like, and especially in a 2026 audience, and the whole idea of like, hey, the truth must come out, and a bunch of people not wanting to uncover the truth.
Yeah.
Very relevant.
Yeah.
But it's not very biting political commentary, like a lot of the Marvel stuff is now, apparently. But yeah, it's all right. It's a good first season for a show. It fleshes out the character in an interesting way. I like a lot of the side characters like Madani and Curtis and Micro. The funniest thing about the Punisher show in general is how they handled Jigsaw. Do you know about this?
I do not.
So, do you know who Jigsaw is? The character from Punisher.
Yes, he's got Billy the Puppet. He locks people in traps. Goes, "I'd like to play a game." I know you can't trick me with this shit.
Oh yeah, that one.
To be fair, that could totally just be a Punisher villain.
Oh, for
like you
real.
could tell me that Punisher fights Jigsaw, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's a thing that I could believe happened.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting comic.
You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. Wait!
Yeah.
But, okay. Jigsaw, Marvel character. In the comics, he's just a gangster who is known as Billy the Beaut, and then the Punisher got a hold of him, kicked his face through glass, and he had this fucked up face. In the Punisher Warzone movie, he throws him into a glass crushing machine.
That's insane.
And in this show, they were on the same team, like Platoon, and they were like blood brothers. They were always in it together, and then he finds out that Billy betrayed him and was the reason why they picked that park with the carousel.
Oh, right. That's like a vague plot point in Daredevil season 2.
Yeah. Billy Russo in this is fucking Prince Caspian from the Narnia movies. But that character you're thinking about, yeah, it went a level above that. It's this guy. And he's like, yeah, I picked that area. Just said I would seem kind of vague and we could get you. So yeah, it basically like makes the whole Punisher origin so complicated now, in that like in Daredevil was like, oh, it's a sting operation that went wrong, and then in this it's like it's a sting operation that went right to go wrong because they were gonna actually trying to kill Frank.
I see.
And so you're like, okay, and this guy's behind it, and he's like, it's fucking, it's Prince Caspian, Ben Barnes, a pretty looking guy. And then the Punisher gets a hold of him, and they make a point to say, we are fucking this guy's face up. And they like beat his head into the glass. Frank scrapes his head across all this broken glass very slow, and to make your point, like, oh, the next time we see him, his face is going to be fucked up. And the funniest thing is that in the second season, he looks fine. Dude, it is hilarious. Like
he got better.
He looks better because it's hilarious. Like if you look at Jigsaw in the comics and Jigsaw in the Punisher TV show, it is funny how they just like they didn't even bother. I watched this with my mom because she wants to watch all the Marvel stuff with me, and she was like, "That's a cop out." She's like, "He looks fine." Like the scars that he has are like the kind of scars that are like, if you look at a guy, you're like, whatever happened to him, he survived it. And I'm more worried about the other guy. But in this case, he is the other guy.
Right.
And to this day, they have not said why they did that. I think it's either the actor didn't want to go through the makeup, or the show is trying to take the serious approach. And if you have someone with that fucked up of a face running around, he won't live that long. Because of either infection or all other kinds of shit.
Right.
So I can understand. There's just a lot of cop-outs that happen there. Whatever.
I feel like if you're not going to full send it, you just got to pick a different villain to adapt.
Exactly. But Jigsaw is the most popular Punisher villain, so we have to have him for this show. And Punisher really doesn't have that many villains because he always kills them.
That's true. Should have picked Ma Nucci, everyone's favorite recurring Punisher villain.
Ma Nucci. We'll get into that.
Yeah. Can we get into that now?
I do want to talk quickly about Punisher Season 2, because that's kind of what I was going into. Yeah, the Billy Russo stuff in the second season is more interesting. The Jigsaw stuff is cool. Like, I like the way they interpret that character now, and that the Jigsaw part is that his mind's all fractured. I thought that was pretty cool, and I thought the actor was really good at it. I think the second season is a little bit better, because it's allowed to be a bit more fun. He has this girl with him now, and it's kind of like the surrogate daughter figure. So it's kind of this lone wolf and cub, where it's not really a cub. But it's an interesting dynamic, especially with a guy who lost his daughter. Yeah. And seeing him become a parent. I genuinely thought that storyline in the second season was really well done. And by the end of it, I was like a little teary-eyed, because I was like, it's nice to see Frank get that father-like presence back, because, that's what he lost. And so to see him be this father figure towards this girl, it was really well done. And I like the villain in the second season with the other villain, I should say, John Pilgrim. I liked his character. It was a really cool idea with that character of like this guy who used to be a white supremacist, and then he became a born-again Christian, and he's trying to, like, get away from that past, but that past is always coming forward. And I don't know, I thought it was just a really cool character, and he's intimidating as all hell. I thought the fight scenes in the second season were better. And yeah, I honestly thought the second season of the Punisher Netflix show genuinely really good, which makes it so funny that the Punisher One Last Kill is so dog shit.
Yeah, it's so bad. What if we made an hour-long special where nothing happens? They're like, oh my god, guys, this is going to set up the Punisher to be in Spider-Man's Brand New Day. All right, you got we have to watch this because this is going to get him to a new place in his life that will be so totally different. You need to watch a 50-minute TV special to understand it before you see him in Brand New Day. And do you want to fucking know where they leave Frank off at the end of Brand New Day? Exact same place and mind state that he's been in for the entire duration of his character. Absolutely nothing changes.
Nothing. Nothing at all. I bring up the second season of the show because he already has catharsis on a daughter figure. And, you know, like, so this whole idea of, like, the ghost of his daughter coming back to him and saying, you could still live, Daddy. Like, all that stuff. I'm like, we've already covered this. There's nothing new. There's an entire season on this very subject. So what the hell?
Imagine if at the beginning of every single John Wick movie, he had gone back into retirement, and then the memory of his car and dog came to him, and he did the I'm thinking I'm back line directly into the camera every single movie, and that's basically how the Punisher has been treated by Marvel for the entire duration of his existence.
I know. I mean, the first season, I'm going to coin a phrase that I heard from the podcast, The Weekly Planet. Really like them. I always mention them anytime I can. But they mentioned this term called Surf Dracula.
Yes, of course.
Have you heard about this? I don't know where it originated, but I heard it from their podcast.
It originated from a tweet. The original tweet was like, in the 1980s, you could turn on a show called Surf Dracula. Dracula would be there surfing in every single episode. And nowadays, if you turn on a Netflix show called Surf Dracula, he doesn't even get the surfboard until the end of season 1.
Yeah.
That's the joke of Surf Dracula.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of been the case with the Punisher every time we've seen him. Like, with the first time we see him in Daredevil, it takes till the very last episode to see him in the White Skull. In the first season of Punisher, it's like the third to last episode when you fully get the skull in that version of Punisher. Season 2 is better in that he is punishing throughout most of it, but he only wears the skull for like a good chunk in the middle, and at the end he's just in a black shirt. Even in Daredevil Born Again, he only wears it the once at the end. And then in this fucking special, he just wears it at the end. So it's like, okay, it's just, I don't know. I was like, oh, cool, they're going to do a Punisher special. And because Jon Bernthal said, like, oh, I think there's an interesting thing we can do with this character that I've never done before. I'm like, oh, cool. I want to see what's this story that you always wanted to tell with this character. And it's the exact same fucking thing as all the seasons of the Punisher, every Punisher thing you've ever seen. There's nothing new added.
Yeah.
It's like Punisher greatest hits, honestly. Even down to the point where he says, no, wait.
Yeah.
Like, they do that again. I'm like, okay, you're just doing for the meme now. And yeah, now we got that meme of him jacking off.
Yeah, I will say the gift from Jon Bernthal jacking it, given to us by this special, is perhaps its only meaningful cultural impact.
It's been playing on loop as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, it doesn't do anything new. Like, even the action is fine. But it's like, it's John Wick, it's The Raid. You've seen all this stuff done better before. Even, oh my god, it's so funny to me how Marvel tried to cover up the fucking worst shot in that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like the shot of him hitting the air conditioning thing.
The dumpster. Yeah.
I'm like, I remember watching that and I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, I watched this day of. I was like, what the hell? And my mom, I have to tell her a lot of times, like, Mom, that's AI. Like, she's like, she doesn't see that stuff. She doesn't see visual effects like that. Whatever it is, she just sees it and thinks it's like drawn or animated real by someone, not AI. But when she saw that, she was like, what the fuck was that? That's how bad it was.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
And it's so funny to me that they're like, oh no, it's just a head replacement. They're like, that ain't a head replacement.
No.
That is a full-on video game shot. Like, made in Blender fucking shot. That's more of an insult to people who do Blender stuff than it is. It felt mean-spirited in a way that is not fitting for this Punisher.
How so? Elaborate.
So,
what you mean by that?
From the first season of The Punisher, if you made it like that really mean-spirited type of show that like the Garth Ennis comics are, where just horrible things happen to people.
Yeah.
Innocent people. And the Punisher gets justice on them and for those mean-spirited acts. That's
like an element of Ennis's, but yes, go on.
Yeah, it's not the main element, but it's kind of like it's a shock factor. Like, it's more shocking. It's never really been a part of this version of the Punisher. They never went too far with the mean-spirited things where just random innocent people are gunned down or killed in violent ways. It's usually people who are kind of like in the gray, or like they died in an honorable-ish way, or they were dying on the line of duty, so they went out like heroes. Whereas this opens with a little dog being thrown in front of a fucking garbage truck.
And hey, I will give this special credit. I think that is a tone you can explore with Punisher. Right? Like, I would argue that's, in fact, in the spirit of the way that Garth Ennis interpreted the character. It's just, it feels weird to think that this is still the MCU, right? Like, and that was always a thing with the Punisher Max line, was like, they're technically canon to the main Marvel universe, but, like, nobody ever interacts with it because it would be too grim for other superheroes.
Yeah.
The Punisher's always occupied that fictional space. And I kind of wish they would explore that more in the MCU, because I kind of like when Punisher does that. Garth Ennis' Punisher stuff is probably the best of Garth Ennis' stuff, so I would have liked to see a little bit more.
I think for me, it also is the crime done didn't fit the punishment that was, or at least the level of punishment that I want to see, because I'm a dog person. Fair. And if you do that, I expect that person to get something horrible happen to them. Like something downright cruel or cathartic, and like he gets thrown in front of a truck or something like that, or something to that level of like the crime done versus the punishment taken. And with the Punisher, it could get really crazy, but off screen and it goes Punisher, and you're like, oh, I'm not satisfied. I wanted more.
Like, well, that's the other thing, is that among the many elements of Ennis's vision for the Punisher that I feel are missing from the MCU's, like, clearly derivative but sanitized version of it, is that it lacked Ennis's weird perversion for, like, violence.
Yep.
Like, one of the trademarks, I would say, of Garth Ennis's writing is he just likes to write in really horrible things happening to the human body, just because he's, like, interested.
Just read the comic of the boys.
He just loves inserting disgusting, horrible violence because it, like, amuses him. And I feel like that worked for his version of the Punisher, because it was just like, let sadism beget sadism, right? Like, this isn't meant to make you feel good. This is just like a splatterhouse of bad people getting what's coming to them.
Yeah, which is an enjoyment you can have with the Punisher as a character. And like, again, okay, show, you've clearly got me into an emotional state of me being really angry because you did that. Actually follow through with that. But they don't do anything. It just feels like they did one really mean thing and then just a random thing of like, hey, let's actually get into the character of the Punisher. Not really, because we've already done this. And then he'll just come back at the end and just shoot this guy.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Nothing felt satisfying. It just felt mean-spirited for the sake of being mean-spirited, which I feel like is done better in a Garth Ennis thing.
Yeah, again, like, when we're talking about Garth Ennis, which obviously we are, right? Because, like, obviously this version of the Punisher feels heavily derived from the way that Ennis, like, revived it. And also, with The Boys being as much of a success, Garth Ennis's, like, style is a little bit more on display in the public eye than I think it has been in a while. And one of the things about Garth Ennis that I think everyone adapting his work has missed, and I would be pissed if we were him, because it feels like no adaptations of his work really have this element, is that his works are miserable, but they have a melancholy to them.
Yeah.
You see the Punisher blow someone's ear off and then, like, stick a knife in the stump. But then he has a, like, soliloquy about how horrible it is that he lives in this world and cries to himself a little while he's cleaning up the bodies. And it's that element, that melancholy, that little bit of sadness that underscores the atrocity that I feel like is really endemic of Ennis as a writer and never makes it into any adaptations of his work.
This one tries to, I just don't think it does.
Yeah.
With the dog
but it's
thing.
like, and it feels like all of the shock and none of the awe typically makes
Thank
it, and
you.
that's how I felt about the dog thing.
Yeah.
Is it's like
yeah.
they show the dog dying, but they don't really add that emotional impact to it.
Yeah.
They just show it and expect that to be enough to like spark emotion in you. And I wish that there was more of that emotionality running through the way that this Punisher has been interpreted, but I feel like it's absent. And that's my take. Again, I have my issues with Garth Ennis, but the way that this Punisher takes from his Punisher feels pretty contrary to the spirit of his work.
Yeah.
Which is pretty unfortunate. Maybe Bernthal has interesting ideas for the Punisher that we haven't seen yet. I'm choosing to remain optimistic.
I will say, this special did feel more like a pilot. Like, hey, if you want more, we could do more. To be fair, I was left thinking, like, I want to see them continue this story. Like, I want to see the Montnucci thing. Because apparently they're also doing the character of Barracuda, because that black guy that was with her is supposed to be Barracuda.
Interesting.
But he's just named Barry, and so people were like, oh, it must be Barracuda. Because he's black
it's
and named Barry.
Cobb situation.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Literally, it's just because his name is Barry and he's black. That's it. That's the only thing people are like, it must be Barracuda. And even the actor who played him is like, I think I am. Do you want them to do a show, or do you want them to just keep doing these specials?
It would be cool if they did a show,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they need to pick a tone and go for it. You either need to go into the brutality and be dark, or you need to be swashbuckly PG-13 like action stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm tired of the middle ground.
I am too.
Pick something and go for it.
Yeah.
And if they do that, I think it'll turn out really well. And if they don't, I think it will continue to be unremarkable, like some of their other puns. Despite one last kill being bad, though, I overall think I'm optimistic for the ish. I'm optimistic-ish for the handling of the Punisher. Because the one thing I will say is that Jon Bernthal has come out and said he's down to do more Punisher stuff, but he has to be the one writing it. Like, he'll only do it if he's involved in the writing.
That scares me more.
But maybe he'll improve. Maybe this is his first real time trying to write the Punisher. Maybe he'll get better.
It feels very student film as well.
Yeah.
And I can say this because a lot of the mistakes that were in this special are mistakes that I did in my short film.
Fair.
Like, hey, let's just make big dramatic moments just for big dramatic moments. It just felt like we're doing things just to show off, hey, I have talented friends.
Yeah, which you could do in a student film, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the point of student films, is to do showy stuff to prove you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, that's why Eraserhead has so much random stuff in it. It's just like, yeah, look at this thing that I can do. Get owned.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they make him more interesting than this in Brand New Day.
I hope. I would only think that it is going to be different because a Spider-Man movie is a totally different tone than a Daredevil show.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I think you can make Bernthal's Punisher work in that context.
Oh, yeah.
I'm interested in seeing how that goes.
Well, look, if they've already done the daughter figure side of things twice now, it might be interesting to do like a son figure for him. Like him look after a younger man.
I really hope not. I don't know. Like, truly from the bottom of my soul, I hope he and Spider-Man are like obnoxious coworkers and their dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if we did another like parent figure thing for Punisher, a third time,
and Spider-Man for a fourth.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think it's much more fun that the Punisher is just like a guy who does the same thing that Spider-Man does in a different way.
It will be fun to see like a bright and go happy character like Spider-Man. Well, kind of bright and go happy because of the context of what that Spider-Man is a bit sad now. But yeah, it will be fun to see like a happy-go-lucky character go up against this like deeply depressed, like hardcore character. And I think that in itself is a fun dynamic. But like, the action.
But I hope they find a way to make the Punisher cool again. That's my hope. I think
maybe. I don't know. I think we'll see how Brand New Day goes.
It's rare that you're the less optimistic of the two of us on a superhero thing.
I know. Well, I had a really fun time talking about this.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Love or hate the Punisher, he is a character that's fun and interesting to talk about. He has the 100%. Character himself has been around for so long and has affected not just pop culture, but culture as a whole in so many interesting ways. And I think the Jon Bernthal run has impacted the modern day culture in a very interesting way. In that by making him so relatable, certain people that want to relate to him have done horrible things in real life. Like, I believe the Punisher skull was at the January 6th riots.
It sure was.
Like, it's just that kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting. Well, first of all, they've done a redesign of the Punisher logo. It's still a skull, but it's the new skull, so there's that. And I've always wanted to get like a Punisher skull shirt, but now I'm like, I don't want to be associated with a racist. Because I'm a white guy with a buzz cut now.
Yeah, I would make any decision that isn't that.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode. Please, if you haven't already, go watch our episode of Daredevil Born Again, where we get to talk about that whole political stuff as well. And yeah, we're also planning on doing a big Spider-Man retrospective series where we cover the Tobey Maguire, the Andrew Garfield, and the Tom Holland first trilogy of Spider-Man movies leading up to Brand New Day, which this character is going to be in it. So this is also the year of the Punisher for some reason. If you're not a comic book fan, I don't know how you got through this video, but if you're not really into comic books, we're also going to be doing a series of videos on all the Nolan movies. Not the Batman stuff, but all his personal movies. So yeah, definitely check that out. I'm Max Kellerhalls. With me today we had...
It was me, Emily. Thank you for watching.
Keep watching TV, keep watching our videos. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.